If you had a rough week in the betting streets, well, the NFL gave us 2 games to get it all back on Monday night. Hey, Dave Loughren here on Twitter at Loughy_D. Give your boy a follow if you haven't done so yet. And as always, hey, all of my picks, everything here, anything I'm betting specifically goes over to Tails First. I tell you guys every video. If you're not there, every bet's free throughout the entirety of the season. Click that link in the description. That's it. Click the link. We're throwing some good old parlays out there, some round robins. We're going to have some fun stuff coming up tonight as well, and some more that I'll toss in after this video. But mind you, lines move significantly. Like that Justin Herbert rushing prop the other week, we put it in there, and I think it moved like 10 yards before the time it closed. Would have hit anyway. But anyway, it's free. Go sign up, create a free account, click follow on me and anybody else you want, and everything you see will be early there. And not only that, anything you never see on YouTube or on Twitter will also be there. Let's sweat some football together this year. And of course, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. Let's get into it. Doubleheader on Monday night. Hey, look, I don't hide from the results. We started off the season on primetime really well. The last 2 primetime games, not quite as well for us. It's going to happen. Things go like that at times, and we look to figure some things out today. I mean, I had mentioned, I leaned Washington in that game against the Packers, ended up being wrong. Packers are just a good football team. And then the Bears, I mean, what the hell am I supposed to do there? That was tough. I thought we had I thought we were cruising the victory and winning that 3-leg parlay. Ended up winning none of them. But like I said, you know, when we have good weeks, I'll let you know. When we have bad days and bad weeks, I'll let you know. That's just the way it is. But looking at this one, we kick it off with the Texans at home, 2.5-point favorites against the Bucs. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan. I always have been. I like Todd Bowles as well. And I'm not particularly high on this offense for the Houston Texans because of the offensive line troubles. But the offensive line doesn't exactly look great for Tampa. I know it held up last week, but that doesn't mean all that much going into another game against a much better defensive line for Houston and a much better pass rush than they saw against Atlanta. I know Atlanta racked up a ton of sacks yesterday with a bunch of their young guys, but still, this Houston pass rush is pretty ferocious. They're also proven. And you look at the offensive line for Tampa, Tristan Wirfs is out. Luke Gedeke might not play either. And you're missing one of your top receivers in Chris Godwin, who's likely not going to be back to week 5 or 6. So yeah, I mean, look, the offensive line for Houston is a problem, but I think this defense is very good. I know this defense is very good. This feels like one of those games where DeMeco Ryans' defense carries this team at home, and you end up seeing a small victory and they eke this one out, and it comes down to the final drive. So the way I'm playing it right now, again, I threw this one up on Tails, I think, earlier in the week. I'll toss it up there again for those of you who missed it and maybe too far down. I'm going Houston -2.5 here. Look, we're getting a home team, and when I talk to you about this next prop, I'm going to tell you a little bit more of why I like this spot and the prop itself. But you're getting a home team, you know, inside of a field goal against the out-of-conference team that's 1-0 coming into this game. You need this win if you're Houston, right? I don't want to overreact to it, but this is actually a pretty big game for them. I can see it coming down to the final drive. CJ Stroud and company do just enough. And maybe CJ Stroud will need to use his legs, which is what brings us to the prop in this one. Of course, we'll get to the next game and a prop for that one as well. CJ Stroud over 10.5 rushing yards. Why do I like this? I'll tell you. This isn't like the nugget we found. I think we found a great nugget last week on Justin Herbert, where, you know, there were reports out there and he went on the Dan Patrick show about how, you know, he wanted to run more this season and be more like Josh Allen, use his legs to extend drives. And we saw him run. I mean, he looked awesome, dude. That run to ice the game, he looked sick. I don't think CJ Stroud is like that, you know, in any way, but I do see a couple of things here. First of all, this is -110 on Bet365. Every other book has it at 11.5 with juice to the over. This is 10.5 -110 on Bet365. Every single primetime game, they're giving us great promos, right? Whether it's like the promos where you get your bet back if you lose, 15%, 50% super boost that we've used every single week, but also some of the softest odds on props that we're finding. If you're not there yet, guys, do yourself a massive favor. Collect the bonus bets. $200 in bonus bets when you deposit 10 and bet 5, whether your bet wins or loses. I threw the link in the description. Click that, take a second to sign up, and you're in. I tell you all the time, anytime any book offers you bonus bets, right? Anytime they offer you bonus bets for simply depositing and making a $5 bet, run, don't walk, pick it up, because that's going to bolster your bankroll and put you in a position where now maybe you can take some more long shots. You can have some more fun with those and end up having a great season, which may have been just a modest season based on what you originally deposited. So links down there, 21 years or older to gamble. Gambling problem, caller, text 1-800-GAMBLER. But Bet365 is the place for this one. And I should say, DraftKings still has -2.5 at minus 108 for that Houston line if you're betting the spread. But anyway, I don't ever want to act like anything is a must-win game, right? Particularly this early in the season. I'm not talking about week 17, week 18. But no team wants to go down 0-2, especially when the Colts are 2-0 in their division and look like a legitimate playoff contender. I mean, they look like a good team. If Houston drops to 0-2, this has been I don't want to say an easy division for them to win, but the AFC South has been pretty soft, and Houston's been able to get those wins against bad teams with poor quarterback play, poor coaching, and all of that. But I look at this and I see a team that needs to win at home, inside of 3 points. And you've seen Stroud use his legs in games where you need to produce yards and extend drives. We've seen it actually more than you would think. And he surprisingly moves much better than I think people would assume he can. He absolutely can. You factor in the lack of quality blocking in this offensive line and just the need for him to escape a pass rush. I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities here tonight. And frankly, with one rush, it's very possible that we could get 11 yards out of CJ Stroud and chalk this one up early on. So I'm playing this one. I already bet it over at Bet365. We're getting 10.5 at -110, and I like that. All right, game 2, the second and final game. Chargers -3.5 at the Raiders in Las Vegas. I don't want to overreact to week 1, and I say that because I'm a huge Justin Herbert fan. I say it all the time. When this guy's healthy, there aren't many quarterbacks that are better than him, truly. Like, he's always dealing with an injury is the problem, whether it's an ankle, a foot, the plantar fascia. It's always something. But I also think the Raiders' defense and secondary particularly is bad. And given the trio of good pass catchers that you have in McConkey and Keenan Allen now, he looked no worse for wear. Even Quentin Johnston, who's made a huge step forward since the beginning of last year, you're going to be able to move the ball. But again, I don't want to overreact to week 1. And I say that because the Chargers smelled blood in the water in Brazil against the Chiefs, right? I'm not surprised they got the win. We bet the money line at +142 because that was the final boss in the AFC West, right? That they couldn't get over that hump. They finally did. Now you're getting the Raiders team that's a divisional home dog of +3.5. Most people are going to love the Chargers here. 2 quality coaches. And, it's just hard to see this game being particularly lopsided in either direction. It also looks like you're going to have Brock Bowers. I mentioned in Tuesday's video, my picks for every game video, that I want to wait on this one. Looks like he's going to play. And do I think the talent advantage leans Chargers a bit here? Sure. I'm not saying it doesn't. But as a 3.5 point, hear me out, divisional dog, right, at home, coming off, facing a team that's coming off a massive win, a massive emotional win as well in Brazil, I'm going to take the other side of this one tonight. Let me know where you guys are going in the comments too. You like the Bucks, you like the Texans, you like the Raiders here, you like the Chargers. You fading me on all fronts? Let me know if you are. But I like the Raiders +3.5. Houston is the side I like more among these 2 games, but I'm going to sprinkle on the Raiders a little bit here too. Getting them at home outside of a field goal just seems nice. All right, and the prop for this game, again, Bet365 has this like 4 or 5 yards lower than everywhere else, and it's not even juiced. It's at -110. Ashton Genty over 87.5 rushing plus receiving. I understand this may feel chalky. Don't get me wrong. I don't typically love just going with chalk, and I think people will look to Genty here. But I'm looking at last week. The guy saw 21 touches, okay? 19 of the 22 running back rushing attempts went to Genty. Zamir White's no good. They don't have anyone else in the backfield that is competent at taking the work away from him. They drafted him early in the first round, so the draft capital here is massive, and you're at home in what should be a competitive game. He played almost 90% of snaps in his first ever start with the Las Vegas Raiders, and he was just inefficient, right? He had like 20 carries for 39 yards. It wasn't good, but at the end of the day, I'm looking at volume here over efficiency that week, and I think the efficiency has to tick up going forward. They're going to force ways to get him the ball. He's one of the better playmakers on this team for sure, and you don't draft him to not use him. You're getting 5 yards in some spots lower on Bet365. Grab that at 87.5 rushing plus receiving. And I will see you guys back here for picks for every game tomorrow, Tuesday, heading into week 3. Bye-bye.